Salutations everybody, it is Maddie here today, and it's funny how things work out. This week I picked up 2 games and I had this epiphany on just how much video games have changed, and I wanted to make a video about that. So as you know, massive old school BioWare fan here, and a lot of you guys were telling me about Jade Empire, so I went and got it on Steam, but it turns out it doesn't really work well on modern PCs, so then I went on to Amazon and bought the physical edition for the original Xbox. When it came in the mail, I was reminded on just how much gaming has changed in many dimensions, starting off with just how the games came as a package. For example, when you open it up, we have 2 discs here on top of a full instruction manual. And one of these discs is limited edition bonus content, which includes demos for Forza Motorsport, Conquer Live and Reloaded, and Mech Assault 2. And those games obviously have nothing to do with BioWare whatsoever. And on top of that, this instruction manual is filled to the brim with information about its characters, its story, status effects, combos, fighting styles, you name it. This was what we called pre-gaming. When you were driving home from getting a brand new game, you'd go through the instruction manual and you'd see all the different things that you could do in game, so when you entered to the game itself, you were prepared. Now, it wasn't just Jade Empire, it was also the fact that I got another new game this week to tide me over until Final Fantasy XII had come out for my review, and that was Gravity Rush 2. And when I opened it, it was vastly different. The only thing we found on the inside was a measly promo for the first game, and the controls are now being mapped to the inside of the cover art. And obviously, it's not just Gravity Rush 2, but once again, it was just the timing. When I saw the difference, I was like, what else has really changed in gaming? We see publishers trying to make pennies on the dollar here by, instead of making a full-on instruction booklet, they decide, okay, we're just gonna put it all in the game and pad a little tutorial. Crash Bandicoot also returned recently, and I thought that was another interesting thing we could take a look at. When we look at the file size of a general PS1 disc and then the file size of Crash Bandicoot on the PS4, Crash Bandicoot sits at around 23 gigabytes, which nowadays would be about 33.8 PS1 discs. So that's another example of just how advanced gaming has become, where we look at a game back then being up-res to now, and just how big it's become. And a lot of these changes come with pros and cons. One of the best examples of that is the patch work that happens during the launch of a game, where sometimes we get that unfinished product that comes along and you have to patch it until completion. There are games nowadays that are still being patched to completion that released years ago, but we also have the ones that release and afterwards we get patches that improve the experience. For example, Horizon Zero Dawn just recently got a brand new Game Plus mode, a difficulty increase as well. Or we have The Witcher 3, which upon launch had weeks upon weeks of free DLC, including new quests, new weapons, and so on. Or transformations like Knights of the Old Republic 2, which turned an old school game into something really refreshing to return to, with mod support, achievement system, updated resolutions, controller support, and more. And I view that as a positive change, as well as this example such as Warframe, which is a game that's based on around missions, kind of like a horde mode game, highly replayable, but now they're adding a brand new version of the game, which is going to turn it into an open world, and you're going to be able to explore it with other players almost in an MMO-like setting, such as, for example, Destiny. And it's insane just to look at Warframe when it first released to what it is now and admire that transformation. That's because of just how much games have changed, where back then, for example, I remember getting Spider-Man 64 after my first day of preschool, and what you got there, that was it. That's all you got. And I remember playing it through, and that was it. You had all the collectibles in there. It wasn't like, okay, I'll get more Spider-Man skins for DLC. Nope, that was it right there, done. Changes in the game industry have also led to the rise of indie games, where, for example, we see Irrational Games being stripped for parts, where we see lots of developers falling off of that team after that development studio underwent huge changes, and now we have different games coming from all these different leaders from that studio, and they're all looking exceptionally well. And yes, while it is common knowledge that our industry is advancing at an incredibly fast rate, I just really wanted to sit down and focus on that, on all the changes that have really come just like that. And all this news dropped at just the right time. I made the right purchases at the right time, and so I wanted to talk about that with you guys and get your thoughts on what you think has really dramatically changed in the games industry compared to when you first started gaming to now. So fire away in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content we create here. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.